Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we're on the minesweeper USS Lucid in Stockton, California, the centerpiece of the Stockton Maritime Museum. The restoration of Lucid has required them to find or fabricate tons of fittings that they just didn't get with the ship when they took her over about a decade ago. One of those are the pipe racks, and these are so well restored that they work better than any I've seen before. So we're going to show these off in today's video. So, much like on New Jersey, berthing compartments on the ship are fairly small and have a fairly large number of men in them. This one will hold about 34 sailors. Just like on New Jersey, you do not hot bunk on this ship. Everybody has their own rack. Submarines often have hot bunking, but minesweepers, battleships generally do not. With 34 guys in a relatively small space, things can be dirty very quickly. Also keep in mind that ventilation is limited. While the Navy does install ventilation on their ships, various things might require those to be shut down. Like these ships are often designed to be watertight, airtight, protected against nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. So all sorts of situations might lead to the ventilation being shut down. That just makes these spaces oppressive. Without air conditioning or adequate ventilation, sailors are sweating all over the place. You might be smoking all the time when you're on these ships. It's going to be a dirty space. So, pretty frequently, just about every day, spaces like this are going to be cleaned, swept, and mopped. There isn't a whole heck of a lot of room in here. So, all of the beds get triced up during the day. This allows you to have the room to clean and mop under them, and it gives you more space to have people able to move through these passageways. We got to go to general quarters. Well, we're maybe a curator and a half wide here, so we don't have enough room for two minesweeper sailors to go past each other as they're going to general quarters. And this isn't like Battleship New Jersey, where we've got passageways on each side of the ship, and one side can be designated forward and up, and one side can be designated down and aft. There's no room for a traffic pattern like this. You just have to make room like that. And so, it's called tricing up. That is the same as on a sailing ship when you were issued hammocks. In fact, U.S. Navy warships, even up into the 20s and 30s that were being newly built, still had hammocks instead of beds. By World War II, most of the time when ships were refit or new built, like Battleship New Jersey being built at that time, or USS Lucid about a decade later, you had beds actually installed, but these still share a lot of the terminology and construction techniques of the earlier hammocks. In fact, sailors were still issued hammocks, and they were still taught how to trice up hammocks as if they were serving on USS Constitution in the 1790s, even though we're talking about the 1950s and 60s at this point. So, your beds are made out of a canvas mattress, a bottom piece like this, and you'll notice it has grommets in it. Instead of having two ends that are going to be roped and hung from the overhead like a traditional hammock, this is tied off to a pipe frame that you've got here. So your bed can stay permanently in place. You can have your bed made with your blankets. You've even got a little bit of a mattress on here. Look at how thick that mattress is. It's going to be real comfortable. Many of the sailors I've heard of who slept on beds like this, the first thing they did when they came on board the ship was go to the carpenter shop and have a piece of plywood cut in the size of their mattress so they had a little bit more stiffness there. So, that gives you your bed. In wartime, these might be stacked even higher. These are all bolted together, but they can be made variable height. So here we've got room for 3. You could fit 4 in this space if you really wanted to, but at a certain point, you lose enough room to be able to lay in these and roll over. We add a 4th one into this stack, and now I might have to get out of the bed, roll over, and then slide back in, because there's not enough room. Remember, my shoulders are 1 curator's width, or 19 inches across. So right now, just enough room. I'm just barely grazing this. I might have to push the guy who's laying on that to be able to do that. At which point I'd have to get out like this and then... Easy, right? I hope you don't roll over too much in your sleep. So, the actual point of this video, Lucid did not have any of her original racks, so they chose to make them up like this. At the end of her career, she would have had coffin racks like New Jersey had. This is what she would have had as built, and these are the cool ones that Trice up and out of the way. And now suddenly, we've got enough room in this walkway for 2 people. And, oh, look at that. We got room to get under there and sweep and mop every day. Perfect. And all your stuff is still made up and right here. Now it's nighttime and we're ready to go. Check this out. One of the features that helps in restoration of ships like this is your shipboard archaeology. You can see where the beds are supposed to go because they've got strike plates here in the deck where the legs sit when they're down. Then you've also got places where the piping is bolted into the deck. So even though this stuff was mostly removed, you can still see the fasteners and where this used to be. So in addition to this canvas style of pipe rack, there's another version that has, it's more like a backyard fence, like a mesh in there with springs here that hook onto the pipe. That is the more involved version of this. It's louder, it's got more material, it's heavier, but it's a little bit nicer than just a piece of canvas stretched on. Battleship New Jersey had that type of mattress. So, you're a new sailor on a ship. What's the best rack to pick? First of all, you would never pick a rack here in the walkways. I've heard of these sorts of racks being referred to as skid rows. So when everybody's getting up to change watch in the middle of the night, they're walking around with flashlights looking for the person who's relieving them, making a lot of noise coming down this passageway here. Do not pick one of these. Take one of the ones back in the corner. Next up, you probably don't want the top rack because, one, you wake up in the middle of the night, you got these pipes and things to hit your head on, whereas if you're in one of these lower racks, you just have the guy above you. He's much softer. So you don't want the top one. Also, USS Lucid had a nickname, Juicy Lucy. As a wooden-hauled ship, and she's flexing a lot, the water coming over the bow would leak through the joints in the deck, and that gets on especially the top guy and his stuff. Fortunately, the Navy's issuing wool blankets, so wool still retains heat even when it's wet. And maybe you're in the South Pacific and it's really hot and you like that, but the water is not clean anymore after it's come through the wood and the oakum and everything. So you don't want to be the guy in the top who's catching all that. Second rack is a little bit better. The bottom rack, you're definitely going to be dry, but you've got all these guys with smelly feet coming by you. Maybe you don't want that one. Another thing to keep in mind is minesweepers are going to pitch and roll a lot more than a battleship. So notice that the pipe rack is built with a railing for the top guy. You don't have that down here, but you do have these posts. So if you start to roll out, they are within one curator's length of you, so you'll probably hit that and catch yourself. But if you've ever heard of the phrase sleep tight, that comes from smaller Navy ships like this one. And you would have a strap, a belt, some line, something that you would use to wrap around yourself and around your mattress to hold you into the bed as the ship is pitching and rolling significantly. Who doesn't like being rocked to sleep at night? So, what do you think is the best bunk on one of these ships? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. For today's video, consider supporting the ongoing restoration work on USS Lucid at the Stockton Maritime Museum in Stockton, California. These racks were completely gone and had to be fabricated by their volunteers here. From the canvas, the ropes, the mattresses, all the pipes and the stanchions, it's all been lovingly reproduced to the standards that they were able to find in the blueprints. So your support makes a difference to them being able to restore and interpret this ship and open her for tours in the near future. There's a link in the description below to her social media so you can follow their ongoing restoration projects, and their donate page so you can help contribute. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and our museum. Thanks for watching.